is King Lock again, and this is my appeal. Yeah, hear me? Man, dash where your pride and get your prostate check. Yeah, hear me? Come and say dash where your pride and get your prostate check. Yeah, hear me now? Yo, this is King Lock, and I'm appealing to all my brothers over the age of 40. Please go get your prostate check.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 10 Star General. We are back here on a Sunday, today being the 9th of June. 9th of June. Yesterday, we had an interesting conversation with Big Stone. We are in continuation of our subject matter, which is prostate cancer. We are trying to save lives and we are trying to instigate a mindset where people who are in there, we're even thinking to ourselves now, if you're between the age of maybe even 35 to 40, it's time to get your prostate checked. Uh, Yesterday was a very interesting conversation with Big Stone where he shared his journey. And today we have another prominent figure in the music industry, businessman also, who is also intending to share his journey with prostate cancer. He's going to tell you all about it. Before we do start, Sharon Mango is going to introduce herself and she is going to kick the ball rolling. She's going to get the ball rolling today. And we do have a second guest. The name will be announced nearer to the time. You should know if you have checked the poster, but if you haven't checked the poster, his name will be withheld until nearer the time. Okay? So in the meantime, between time, before we get speaking to this handsome figure staring at us all the way from sunny New York. Let's come to Miss Mango.
Thank you so much. I am the original Sharon Mango, and welcome to the second half. We're going to have second and third half talk about prostate cancer. And our esteemed guest today, which it looks like we can't share colors. Good mindset. I see the colors going on, and you see that right there? Look at that.
Looking very presidential, I might add.
Very presidential in that little seat there. So, again, have Lascelles Douglas, businessman, singer, songwriter extraordinaire. That's all I could say about this gentleman. An amazing gentleman that we had the opportunity to meet some time ago, and a great friendship developed out of it, so much respect. And when we did bring up the subject of prostate cancer, we had no idea. When 10 Star decided to share his journey, this is when Lascelles Douglas said, hey, you know, this was an inspiration, so I'm here to let everybody know. So we want to thank you for that, because the importance of being transparent about this subject matter for a Black man is big. It's big to be as transparent as you possibly can. But without further ado, because I'll go into it, but without further ado, Lascelles Douglas, welcome back to our show.
Thank you.
I've got to get my audience clapping effects into
Get it back.
Next show, I'll get that in order, you know?
Yes.
But
Yes.
thank you for being here, Lascelles, to, like Sharon said, to be, transparent about what you've been through. And we've had a bit of a chit chat prior to the show happening. So, Sharon, I'm going to let you get into it. I've just got one or two things to do in the background, but I will be listening. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Lascelles, tell us first. Tell us about your journey. Like, when did you? Let me see. That's the best way to start this off, because we're trying as much as you divulge, it then helps the next person, right? So when did you know, or what symptoms were you having that you decided to go get checked, your prostate?
first of all, let me say thank you guys for inviting me to be part of this very important discussion. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm just happy to share my story, my journey, where
Mm-hmm.
prostate cancer is concerned. Um,
Mm-hmm.
again, the transparency is important, which is one of the reasons
Yes.
why I agreed to be part of this, because I honestly kept this journey close to my bosom, so to speak. It was not something that I was willing to share outside of my immediate family or friends. And I
Right.
guess it's just
Yeah.
based on how we were brought up,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of keep certain things personal.
Yes.
When I saw 10 Star post, I was moved simply by his transparency. And when I saw the word cancer, it just resonates. And for me, it took me back. I had no idea. I responded to him, and it took me back to my time, and
Mm-hmm.
how I behaved when found out. So
Right.
finding out was I wouldn't say difficult,
Yeah.
because unlike most men that are diagnosed with prostate cancer, I had no prior symptoms.
Okay.
The symptoms of waking up late at night, going to the bathroom, pain, around your hip, your back. I had no symptoms that would tell me that, hey, you need to go check yourself. I was originally checking myself annually with my primary, and the
Okay.
results were coming back okay. There's a slight enlargement, but he had nothing to be concerned about. So I had
Mm-hmm.
no flag, so to speak, to go check myself, because
Mm-hmm.
something. So here's what happened in 2017. I was at work, went to use the restroom, and as I started to pee, instead of pee, I saw blood, and I literally was like, "What? Like, what is this?" I couldn't put my finger on anything because it could have been anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I immediately went and went to a clinic actually, and I got tested at the clinic. Results came back, and the result stated that it was UTI.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
UTI. What is UTI?
urinary tract infection.
Urinary tract infection.
Oh, right,
And
right.
most men don't suffer from
Y-
UTI.
Mm,
Right.
Probably
Right.
1% of men
Right.
have
yeah.
UTI. So I didn't think anything of it. If it was UTI, then medication, antibiotic, all of that stuff would take care of it.
Mm,
But I still wasn't satisfied. So I went to my primary again, and then he issued an appointment, scheduled an appointment, I should say, for me to see the urologist. And
Right.
I went and saw the urologist and took a test, and basically wanted me to come back. Took the PSA. The PSA was high. Wanted me to come back and to do um,
Biopsy.
a biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing the biopsy, um, it's a painful it's a painful procedure, but I had to do it. I had to do it. And in doing so, the results came back, and I was in the process of waiting for the results. That's where I think the mind starts to play on you now in terms of what you want to hear. In
Before you go any further, I know you did the biopsy, but share with us whether you chose to stay awake or for them to put you to sleep.
I actually stay awake
You
in the
stayed
body.
awake.
Yeah,
Okay.
I stayed
Okay.
awake. Area was numb to the
Mm,
point where, the only thing I felt in that process
mm,
was when they snipped a piece of the prostate, and
mm.
they did it like 3 or 4 times because they want to get different areas of the
Different
prostate,
areas.
see how it's spread,
Right.
uh, if it's there, because at that point they don't know whether or not I have it. Uh,
Right.
Right.
so in the process of waiting, I have to tell you, the mind plays all kind of tricks on you, and then the biopsy caused certain things to happen before the healing takes place, because
Right.
they cut a piece of you from the inside. So, you're still going to pass blood.
Yeah.
Mm,
But they warned me or informed me or told me not to be alarmed. It's just where it was cut that was bleeding. That
yeah.
was another issue to contend with. Um, but in that waiting period, um, the mind is was in a process of playing tricks, playing games. You just
Mhm.
have to maintain that positivity,
Right.
um, to take you through that process until you find out
Mhm.
the truth. So, in any case, time passes and I got the results. And that phone call was not a pleasant phone call, but at least I went into the office because they would not
Mhm.
divulge the information on the phone. So I went into the office and
Mhm.
was told that it was positive. The result came back and it was positive.
Mhm.
And that's when the mind again just it it's like it comes alive. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
mind at
Yeah.
that point comes alive, and you might most folks who have not been through anything like this probably won't understand what I'm saying. But in terms of your life, when you hear that it's positive, your life, all of your life flashes in front of you. Your
Mhm.
past, the
Mhm.
present,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Mhm.
weird because the future comes to you and you have not yet been there, but you actually kind of sort of see it
Yeah.
in the
Right.
way you're thinking. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you start thinking of all these things in terms of, family, kids, grandkids, whether or not this is going to be your exit
Mm,
from life, if this is going to
Right.
take you out.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you start thinking of the afterlife, even though you don't know if it is, but you start thinking of the afterlife, which is the
Mm,
future.
yeah.
You're thinking of the present, of how you're going to be living through this until. So there's a whole bunch of thought process that goes through the head. But here's the beauty. I'm a positive thinker. I'm a positive believer. I did not um, give in or give up to the thought or the thoughts that was going through the head.
Mhm.
I live the truth that I was feeling deep inside, that this is something that is going to take me on a journey of learning, of
Right.
understanding, and
Right.
of again living with it, with the experience that I'm going to be going through, the decisions that I'm going to have to make, um, and those decisions are vital to the future. So
Mm,
the discussions that I had with the physician, with the urologist, it's there. The immediate thought was how severe, at what level,
Right.
It was at stage 2, which is very, very, very early.
Mm.
Very
And
early.
I
Yes.
thank the Almighty that
Mm.
at the time we caught it at that time, it wasn't as severe as part of the mind was thinking it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, the mind is taking you through all phases of possibilities that can happen.
Mm.
So when I heard that it was a 2 and fixable, so to speak,
Mm.
because the curing is a completely different thing, but it's fixable. There are
Yeah.
some options that I
Yes.
could take.
Options. Hmm.
Yeah, there's some options that I could take in taking care of it. Um, my decision was shared with those close to me, um, and the support that I got in terms of my final decision, because I went through some processes. There's a seeding that was told that could be done. The seeding
Yeah.
would then be
Certain.
into the area of the prostate, and it would basically slowly diminish. And then there's radiation, which is another process
Yeah.
that could be done. Radiation is where it not only breaks down the cancer area, it actually goes into other cells in the body, which again the doctor explains certain things. It's not just in that area. When you radiate, you're radiating, and the cells close to it is going to get hit.
Yeah.
So
So basically, cells get destroyed.
yes,
They rely upon maybe the age you are to regenerate those cells. You know.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then you have to be content, with the area of the nerve system that keeps the prostate, alive.
Right.
It's all nerves with
Yeah.
muscles
Yeah.
areas. So my decision was to, and my decision went through different phases of finalizing the decision. I looked at my age, personally looked at my age, and in the discussion that I had, with my spouse and my kids, my siblings, we became a unit,
Yeah.
um, made the decision, and then I basically just conveyed the final decision, and it was kind of sort of agreed with, and with some clarification. So my decision was, again, I look at my age, I look at my kids, kids that I've already
Mm.
brought to this world, and my grandkids. I look at all of these things,
Mm.
and thinking whether or not I want to preserve the prostate, so to speak, to keep the prostate, and do the medication process.
Mm.
Um, and because one of the things that the urologist mentioned is you may do the seeding or the radiation, but there's possibility of regenerated cancer, that it would come back eventually. There's possibility of it coming back. Um, and again, when I put all of those factors together,
Yeah.
um, I don't really have a need for it.
Mm.
I took it out. I just decided to just take it out,
Remove it. Mm.
just remove it completely, and that possibility of thinking if I had radiated it or seeded it, that sometime down the road this is going to come back. I didn't want that. I
Mm.
just literally decided, and again, those things that I put in place in terms of thinking, my age, my kids, I got grandkids, I
Mm.
don't have to worry. I had a spouse that really understood and supported the decision, because you have to think of the effect of that decision to the people that you're close to, especially
Right.
your spouse, especially your spouse, because your life now is going to change in a
Mm.
lot of areas. Your
Yeah.
life is going to change, and that individual close to you becomes you.
Yeah.
in their understanding of what's coming in the future.
Mm.
So when I made that decision, it was solidified,
Yeah.
and I decided to move it, just remove it completely, and then dealing with it from my surgery was in 2018,
Yeah.
and dealing with it from 2018. To be honest with you, there's no weight on my shoulder. There is no concerns
Yeah.
that I have. There is no ugly negative effect
Mm.
on the body, other than some changes that I was aware that's going to take place within the body.
Yeah.
So all of those things, my brothers and sisters, especially my brother, is it's something that causes you to see life from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And one of let me just digress a little bit. I was very concerned with the results that I had, because over the years I've been taking my physical, and my primary kept saying everything was fine.
Mm.
ASA was coming back. There was nothing. There was no level of percentage. It was did the examination, and the
Mm.
examination showed that there's some enlargement, but nothing to be alarmed about. And over the years, that's all I've been hearing. So I had no reason to believe that I had prostate, and I
Right.
was
Right.
very, very irate with him,
Mm.
because it was not his decision. When he saw the enlargement, he should have referred me at that point to a urologist.
Right.
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 So he made a decision that affected me, and that still at some point, when I think about it, it I feel like more go find him, you know.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but again, I think why we're here today and why I'm sharing, this story again. 10 star, you have I think you got to give yourself full credit for me doing this, because your transparency
Mm.
literally changed me when I saw you on your post.
Mm.
um, and the transparency is, for me, I'm thinking that withholding the information
Mm.
the way I did, I'm not helping anybody.
Mm.
I'm helping me with my privacy,
Yeah.
and keeping it close to my bosom.
Mm.
But there are brothers out there right now
Yeah.
that have prostate issues, are going through. Some don't know, like me. Some brothers don't know they have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, and one of the process of learning is kind of doing your due diligence. Check your body.
Mm.
Again, do your due diligence in talking to people who have been through the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is going to your doctor and getting your annual physical examination.
Yeah.
And here's one thing I want to actually impress upon my brothers and sisters, because there is, and when I say sisters, I'm saying sisters, encourage a man,
Mm-hmm.
encourage your brother, encourage your friend to do
Mm-hmm.
the same. We as men, we have this thing called ego. We have this thing called, you want to be that masculine man, and certain things you don't want take place,
Mm-hmm.
go to a doctor, because the physical examination for prostate is, it's not through any other parts of your body but your anus.
Mm.
Okay, the doctor is going to bend you over and he's going to stick his finger up your ear. Most of us men don't like that process.
Mm.
If that process does not take place, you will not know whether or not you do have prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So that ego that we have, that masculine, it doesn't take away from your masculinity. Actually, it helps you to maintain your masculinity because you know that nothing is wrong. So you're not going to lose that prostate.
Mm.
That prostate basically is the housing
Yeah.
for our manhood.
Yeah.
The prostate is the housing for our manhood.
Mm.
You understand? So if we learn from an early stage to take care of it, we can maintain that masculinity, and we don't have to be concerned or worried about it. So
Yeah.
that ego, and we're human. We all have that ego, and,
Mm.
and sometimes we allow the ego to control us as opposed to
Yeah.
us controlling the ego. You know, Bob Marley has a song, and there's a line in the song, and he says, "Every ego have a need to be fed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every ego have a need to be fed."
Mm.
Mhm.
So when we feed the ego with the materialistic things or the superficial things, that
Mm.
ego is when people say your head gets fed. You know,
Mm.
because
Right.
you don't think certain things can happen or manifest itself.
Very
So
true.
my encouragement in this broadcast is
Yeah.
to, and I would say 10 star from 30 to 35 up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be vigilant and do
Yes.
regular checkup
Definitely.
with your doctor where prostate is concerned, because some of us are not as lucky as I am
Yeah.
in terms of where we caught it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, at stage 2,
Mm.
you have a very, very, very high chance of living a long life after
Yeah.
whatever procedure you decide. Stage 2,
Mm.
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, the doctor told me, the surgeon told me when I was prepping for surgery, he said, because I was really, he looked at my face and he saw the worriness on my face. And he said, Mr.
Mm.
I wouldn't be as worried as you're looking. Understand this. This is not something
Oh,
that just developed a year or 2 years ago.
Mm.
At stage 2, you've had this over 10 years.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Yeah.
all those times the primary was saying the prostate was being enlarged, that's when
Yeah.
it was developing.
Right. Right.
And then he told me, he said, look, the surgery is not something that you have to do right this minute, because
Yeah.
this doesn't grow as fast as breast cancer or uterus cancer or stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Prostate cancer grows very, very slowly. Even though you have it, you can still carry on knowing that and then make a decision down the road. But sometimes the longer you wait to make a decision is the more opportunity you give the prostate to grow and spread.
right.
Precisely.
So
Right.
again, my decision was to just literally take it out. And here I
Yeah.
am. The side effects are literally like non-existent. Side effects is something that I can live with. Uh,
Mm.
you know, one of the things that you concern yourself about, not having prostate is incontinent is an issue.
Mm.
An incontinent in simple word is the simple fact that you can no longer hold your pee when you
Mm.
want to pee. But it all depends on how the surgery was done, because
Right.
certain surgeons can prevent that from happening on a wide scale, on a big scale, where you
Mm.
have to be wearing, you know, depends or
Depends.
something to prevent you
Mhm.
from embarrassing yourself, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I don't have to. The surgeon was knowledgeable and equipped enough to save nerves,
Yeah.
um, for regrowth of
Mm.
muscles and certain parts of the body to where you don't have to worry about ED. Um, that kind of stuff is controllable, so to speak. Medication is prescribed after the fact to
Yeah.
help you with those kind of issues that we as men will suffer from with prostate. And the sad thing is, some of the things that is kind of a pre-warning, so to speak,
Yeah.
for men who don't know that they are having issues. Um, it's You're seeing signs of it now, but you don't think it is. You're seeing signs of it because you're thinking that well, you have to drink some strong bar, or you have to drink up some peanut punch and some peas, you know, and you're thinking that's what it is, but actually it's not. It's not drinking the Guinness and bumping things up to be that, as Shava would say, bedroom bully,
Yeah,
right? That weakness that you're finding where the muscles are no longer strong for
Mm.
you to be that masculine man is simply because something is going on in your body that you're not aware of. And that's when you need to start checking yourself.
Yeah.
You premature ejaculation,
Mm.
ED, those things, which ED is erectile dysfunction, which is what I'm talking about. That muscles is not working properly anymore. You know, even if certain things is in your face and you feel like you're ready to champion things and go on with
Mm.
things and you can't do it. It is signs that something is happening that you need to check. And once you start checking that and doctors start working with you, all of that comes back to
Mm-hmm.
where your manhood stabilizes. So
Right.
I say all of that, again, to being really transparent, is our body is a temporary housing for what or who we are. It's a
Mm.
temporary housing. It's flesh.
right.
You
Mhm,
understand?
Mm.
The body is, and I use this analogy sometimes, is back in the day, my daddy used to have enough animals and him call them dumb things, as
Mm.
in
mhm,
those, you know, um,
mhm.
enough chicken, enough pigs in a pig pen, enough goat. We have a lot of different things growing up in Jamaica. We have a lot of different. He was kind of a smart farmer, and I
Mm.
always use this analogy. There is a pig pen to contain the pigs. There
Mm.
is a chicken coop to contain the chickens,
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
right? The body, the body is a container for the soul.
Mm.
The
Mm.
body is a container for us, for what's inside, the life that is inside. The body is temporary. It will eventually break down, and when it breaks down, we're gonna not be here anymore. But what's inside of us, the life that's inside of us,
Yeah.
when you maintain that life, the proper way to maintain that life, by eating properly, getting good rest, by getting your medical checkup, you're actually containing yourself to be here for the extended time that the Almighty gave us on this earth, because we're not going to be here forever.
Mm.
right.
But we have a responsibility to maintain the life given to us, so that
Mm.
we can pass on legacies like you are doing, 10 Star Sharon, that you have done with this program, to allow me to come on and explain myself, or express myself, or share my journey
Yeah.
with others, and just be as transparent as I possibly can. And again, I lift my hat to you, sir,
Mm.
that you have literally extracted that transparency that I needed to have. And
Mm.
I can say that today is the beginning of a journey that I will be on along with you, sir,
Mm,
help share this information and save some life, not just one, save
mm,
some lives.
yeah,
Okay. And if not save some lives, save some quality of life,
yeah,
for others.
yeah.
Because what I've done in my journey, in my process, is my quality of life, it's changed. It's changed
Mm,
to a certain degree. But the beauty is that I'm in the moment. I'm present in the moment with that change in my life,
mm,
Mm.
and I'm utilizing it to help others,
mm,
and hopefully the information that I have shared, it may touch somebody today.
mm,
Someone may replay this program, and who is not on here,
yeah.
and hear what we're talking about and understand that it is
Mm,
vitally important for us as men and ladies. Again, encourage your men when you find certain things are failing, as we talked about before. When you find out that certain things are failing, do not, please, don't emasculate your husband or your boyfriend or
mm,
Right.
don't
That's
emasculate
right.
him or think that he's no longer a man or
Right.
he no longer have it. What you should do is to sit down and have a conversation with him.
yeah.
Find out what's going on with him personally to see if it is something. Because sometimes our mind,
Mm, yeah.
um, when we egotism, when we're eager to do things, sometimes the mind don't connect with the rest of the body because the mind is the part that is eager, but the body is
Yeah.
not ready. And sometimes you get lucky, and a lady is willing um, to say yes, let's do this, and then you find out that at that appointed time, why you're not ready.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment to the man's ego. So, ladies, you have a responsibility as well to help your man. You know, regardless of what stage he is in your life, husband, boyfriend, just a friend, whatever. You have a
It would definitely make or break him.
exactly,
Mm,
Right.
exactly. Because us men, there are a couple of things that keep us going. Is respect and appreciation.
yeah.
Nothing else really is as important as some
Yeah.
people may think. But
Yeah.
we as men, we are tied to respect and
Mm,
appreciation. Love is something that grows, and love is something that comes and goes, and love is something that will always be there. But the respect and appreciation is something that you have to develop.
mm,
And if you develop that
Right.
based on my behavior, my attitude towards you as a female. So
mm,
your responsibility is as important as the man to check himself. And I
yeah.
think more so when you show that interest as opposed to you being discouraged or you being disappointed or you being angry. When you show that interest in wanting to help that man get himself back
Mm,
where he once was, what you're doing actually, you're locking that relationship
yeah.
even more so because now he's seeing the true care, the true love, the true respect that you have for him. And then
Yeah.
when you're encouraging him, I'm with you, babe. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'll go to the doctor with you, and whatever it is that you're going through, we're gonna go through it together. That is the foundation of making that man even like
Well, we,
doubly
we, we become strong like Samson.
exactly,
We know we can smash anything, you know what I mean?
exactly,
Especially cancer.
yeah,
And just as you spoke those words, I can honestly tell you, just having great people, positive minded people, feeding that energy over to me is what kept me going. Because for the first 3 weeks of me understanding that I had cancer, I think the emotion I had was, how the hell do I have cancer? Can't be. And I struggled to understand or even accept that I had it for 3 weeks. And then incorporated in that 3 weeks became fear because I witnessed my father die of cancer within 4 days. And on the day drew his last breath, again, the doctor came and said he had stage 4 cancer. I'm like, what? How can he have stage 4 cancer? And he goes, well, he must have had it for years and he just didn't tell anyone, you know? And that's what the icing on the cake was for me. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but it just made me want to speak about it.
Yes.
About, I call it breaking the curse,
Mm-hmm.
that has been bestowed upon our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always say to like, oh, you don't talk your business, don't talk about this and don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays with us over the years. We don't talk about it. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
One of the things that stayed with me, I was on my way to the studio because back in the day, I used to play with a band called the Foreigners Crew. And there were four of us in a car, even Anthony Basie Clark, who is going to be one of our guests next week. He's going to be talking about his situation. But we're all in the car, and there was a guy called Vincent Smith, bass singer, and from way back when. And we were recording him. And on the way to the studio, he kept saying, Msundejana. I was like, what are you talking about? Behave yourself, man, and stop talking negative. But he wouldn't stop saying it. And I guess he didn't know how to express himself. And he kept saying it. So we pulled over the car, and all of us, when we say we jump on him, just verbally, listen, what's your problem? And he showed us the piece of paper which said he had, like, I think he had a month to live. And we're like, what? Over what? Prostate cancer. And he said, if there's one thing I'm going to ask every one of you to do is check your prostate. He said, what variably is going to kill him is the fact that ego, no man finger me things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And he said, if he could turn back the clock, he would have gone to the doctor and done what he should have done.
Yep.
Because the operative word that a lot of people don't have, and that the doctor told me, he said, listen, you have options. He
Options.
said 80% of the people that come into his office, and she started crying. She said, they do not have options.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And you spoke about the
Yeah.
interesting things. I think Big Stone calls it stoppage of water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I was going to the toilet like every night, literally, and I started developing something called insomnia, which still stays with me to this day. And I would be in a deep sleep, and I swear blind, every 15 minutes, I'm in the toilet. So I started timing the frequency, and I said, how can I be in this much of a deep sleep? And then it's breaking me out of my sleep, going to the toilet, checking the frequency, and it's like every 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
said, this is normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And till this day, I have this insomnia that stays with me. However, there's another sign, which is you feel full, but you cannot urinate.
Mm.
And slowly but surely, the more that builds up, there's tremendous pain, which you most probably,
And
understand about.
hence that terminology, and I think most Caribbean people use that terminology that you just mentioned. You're full, but you can't pass pee,
Yeah,
and hence the terminology stoppage of water.
Stoppage of water. That's
You
stoppage of
understand?
water. Man, stoppage of water. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And it's all ignorance because we didn't know. Growing up, when you hear an older man in the village or the community is suffering from stoppage of water, nobody
yeah.
really knew then because the education was not
We shouldn't go.
shared with us. You
Mhm.
understand? And so
Yeah.
that's
It wasn't. it wasn't explained to, I guess the family wouldn't understand because, as I said yesterday, so I'll mention again, I'm having a little history, little ancestral background on my family. My mom asked me to find her grandfather. And then I just kept start digging, and I would dug on my mom's side and my dad's side, you know. And I was able to find birth, death, and marriage certificate. And this is stemming back 1860 something, 1870 something. And I'm looking like my great grandfather, great great grandfather, and great great great. And I'm looking at the death certificate. It clearly says prostate. It clearly says on the death certificate, prostate cancer. But at that time, the family's not understanding that. They just know that when the individual took sick, they couldn't pee. So I stopped your water.
Yeah.
But on that death certificate, if they had told them,
Yeah.
you know, your husband has prostate cancer, oh, that. All right, you know what I'm saying? It's ignorance.
Yeah.
So
the medical terminology was not
exactly
shared.
the medical terminology, they were never going to grasp it to be like, oh, what am I saying? But I'm looking, I had to see, okay, what did he die of and at what age? And it just fascinated me. So I'm still digging, finding stuff, but it clearly says, or it will say enlargement of prostate, but it literally has the word in there. So it was known, but I don't think even at that time that the way modern technology is that the full understanding of what it is, just know this man's prostate is enlarged or he couldn't pee because of it, but there was no solution back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no solutions back then. And then my point being is that there are solutions to everyone now.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you there's no options, there is an option. There is a way. You need to fight it. Right. So, yeah. And then, because once, of course, back in the day, once you have that, everybody said that's a death sentence. Prostate cancer doesn't be a death sentence. And that's what we try to, and I know a lot of men out there saying, well, they don't want to know. Just let it happen. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because they think you're going to die from it anyway. And that's the sin of it. So us doing these shows and having you, of course, and 10 Star, because when 10 Star told me, I said, oh, okay. I was very calm. Well, what stage is it? 2. I said, okay, you're good then. You know what that means? You have options.
Yes.
Boy, Sharon, man, I don't know. I said, you're not listening to me. You've got options. We're going to go through this together. You have, it took a minute for him.
Yeah.
I will say it took a minute for him. He was depressed about it. I can clearly say that now. He was depressed, stressed, ready to give it up. You know, I was not having it. I was just not having it. Even if I had to talk to him 10 times for that day, I was not having it. But like you have to grasp the fact that you have options. Don't give up.
That's the kind of support. That's the kind of support we need.
Yeah.
You know, going through this phase.
Yeah, but you have to. But you said, I have to say this. Because whether people see it today, next week, next year, whatever, you said something so important. You women, because I am a woman, you women with enough stupidness. Before you stand by your man, I said, well, something's going on with him, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Degrade the man.
Yeah.
Some of them will all go behind their back and go do something because, oh no, he can't do nothing to me no more. Can't do. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
And there are some that will say that just to spite the man.
Just exactly. So, it's wrong. It's not. It's wrong. Yeah. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
And we're not saying everyone. We're just saying there's a minority. No, you know.
Some women, you have to. If you say you love your man, you stand by your man. Especially worse if you married him. It says for sickness or in health. That's what that means.
Yeah.
You say that lie and people don't take it literally. No, trust and no. Sickness and health. That is real life.
and and
A
and
lot of them
and
will not grasp it.
and what it does also is if the man is kind of seeping into depression or stress, your support can balance that man and bring
Yeah.
Of
him back
course.
to who he
Of course.
is
Yeah, of
mentally,
course.
because now he knows that he has you beside him as a support system, and there's
Right.
nothing more important to him at that point in time than that.
Then having that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important. Very,
The,
very,
the,
very
the,
important.
the other point that I wanted to make is I know some people say they have no side effects or, they don't feel nothing, especially if they're stage 2 cancer. But I was sharing with a surgeon that I noticed something was off when it felt like electricity would move at 2 mile an hour really, really slowly, and it'll move from one side of my leg to the other, which means it's going to pass through the groin area and then
Hmm.
move over to your left leg. And it's like it's going through one of your nerves.
Hmm.
And when that pain takes you, it's like being tasered. That's
Hmm.
what I was going through,
Hmm.
and I still
Mm.
go for it every now and again. It's like I used to call it phantom pain. Maybe I'm just imagining the pain, but it just comes off willy nilly, and it lasts for about 3 or 4 seconds, which feels like forever, and
Hmm.
then it goes away. But then there's something that tells you it's going to come back again.
Hmm.
So you're walking as per normal, and then bang, it comes back again, you know? And when you're in public and you start holding the groin area in public, you
Yeah.
don't look like, it's like weird. What's going on
Yeah.
with that geezer?
Yeah.
Something wrong with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was that I go through as well. And these are just some of the little signs that, you know, that something is wrong. You just have to examine yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-examination. How frequently do you go toilet in the nighttime? And the other thing, with my situation is I'm taking close to about 10 tablets a day, and the majority of those tablets is to do with trying to maintain my blood pressure.
Hmm.
Uh, Michael, not go nowhere. Stay where you are, sir. Because we're coming to you in a bit. All right.
Blessings, blessings,
All
Mike.
right. Now, um, and one of the things that you have to do is, one, just self-examine yourself.
Hmm.
Two, what sort of pains are you going through?
Hmm.
Like, I'm taking all these tablets,
Hmm.
and some of them is like water tablets, I guess. One
Yeah.
is for cholesterol,
Hmm.
and certain other things. You know what I mean? So the frequency at which I was going to toilet, especially when you're taking blood pressure tablets, is like,
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
frequency is just like crazy. you know.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that whoever sees these shows and replays them back and is watching it, we're trying to save lives really and truly. We're on the same mission. The
Yeah.
mission is don't die in ignorance.
Yeah.
Ignorance is what's killing most of us. And there was a chilling report which says the majority of Caribbean and African people are dying needlessly, and especially they mentioned a country which was Jamaica.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
I don't even know what the percentage figure is. It was something like really crazy when I saw it. I need to
Yeah.
reinvestigate that piece of statistic that came out in the news, and it was
Hmm.
something eerie. And everywhere I go, especially in the independent paper, they're now talking about prostate cancer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people dying from prostate cancer, and why it's not widely advertised is beyond me, because to me that is like the new pandemic
Hmm.
which is killing us. And maybe that's an agenda. I don't know. I don't want to come with conspiracy theories, you know. But I think it's for us to, as long as you have a platform, talk about it,
Yeah.
you know.
You just mentioned something, and let me see if I can piggyback on that. And I realized that over time,
Mm,
and actually putting more emphasis on the body, as we talk about the body itself. everybody has cancer cells in their body.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is what we consume feeds the cells.
Yes.
So good diet is
Yes.
important in
Mm-hmm.
minimizing the chances
Yeah.
of having cancer, regardless of what cancer it is. But we need to kind of start paying more attention on what we consume and
Yeah.
how we consume the food that's out there, because honestly, I think there is a lot going on, especially now with synthetic food, I should say. There's a lot going on, and
Yeah.
and it is having some side effects
Mhm.
on our body. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
more attention to that.
Right.
Literally.
Well, I want you to stay with us if you can, if you have time, just stay with us. And we're going to bring on our next guest. And he is Michael Mendez, bar singer from way back when, sings all those beautiful songs. Sing me a song before we start talk.
Man, to singer from way back when, you're right.
Sharon, do the introductions for me, please.
Michael Mendez. Can you hear us well? What's the minute you can hear us good?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Good afternoon to
Okay,
you. Good
wonderful.
afternoon to your listeners.
Oops.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
wonderful. So I want to say thank you to Call Consciously, who introduced us to Michael Mendez and told us that he had a story to tell us in regards to a diagnosis that he was issued. I'm not sure when that was, but we're going to find out right now in regards to cancer.
Yes.
Michael, we do welcome you and thank you so much for taking the time. Also, I want to say real quick, and we will mention it at the end of the show. Michael is he's doing a show along with, I think it's Carol Thompson and two others on the 15th of June.
Yes.
And this is in regards, the show is being, I think the proceeds are being donated to those suffering from prostate cancer. The show is in support of prostate cancer and the awareness of prostate cancer. So a lot of big artists is going to be there, and Mr. Mendez is on that roster of artists who will be performing. Am I correct?
Yes. That is correct.
Okay,
That
good.
is correct in one account. So it is.
now you're coming through muffled a bit. You're coming through muffled, so you'll have
Are
to
you
speak
on?
up as much as you can.
Sorry, I think I'm going to 1 minute. I'm using the earphone. The timing is perfect because I've just come out of a rehearsal.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Is that better?
oh, awfully
Yes,
better, yeah, but we can't see you.
yes,
All
yes.
right, we'll see you
Okay,
now.
there you go.
Yes.
Perfect,
Yes.
Yes,
perfect.
I was just explaining that the timing is good because I've just finished in rehearsal, like literally a minute before you called my name. So
Okay. Good. Good. Okay.
All right, it's freezing. All right, it's freezing. All right, he's out of range. He's out of
Yeah.
range. All right, so when we get him back, we'll get him to talk about what it is he's going through himself.
Oh, we
I
lost
think
him.
yeah, it's
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of unrelated to prostate cancer. However, he
He
has
is
a
back.
fight with cancer.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we lost you due to your signal. So just be mindful of your signal.
right, am I back? You
Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
you are.
okay? Great. Yeah. So prostate cancer is something that I'm very passionate about.
Hmm.
Not necessarily because I am suffering from it currently, but I had a scare
And, my story started back, maybe more than 15 years ago, when I was shaving one morning, and I noticed a lump in the left side of my neck, just behind my ear.
Okay.
And when I saw it, typical, typical. I was gonna say typical Jamaican man, but it doesn't even matter. I kind of ignored it. So I'm just sitting in my car now, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ignored it and wasn't paying it too much attention. I thought it would just go away. And then what
Mm.
happened is, instead of it going away, it started to grow. So eventually, I went to get it tested. So I had a biopsy, and they said, "Well, there's a lump there. We need to get it checked." And then eventually had it checked, and they said, "Right, we need to have surgery done, have it removed." Wasn't paying any attention to it. Did the surgery. About 2 weeks after doing the surgery, I went back to the hospital to have the stitches removed and the dressing and so on. And then when I went in, I saw about 4 or 5 other doctors, other than the ones who had actually done the surgery. So this was at St. George's Hospital um, in, oh dear, South London. I remember. Ealing. No, not Ealing. South London. Getting old. Anyway, so what happened? It's a teaching hospital, and I thought, oh well, these are students. At that point, when they said, "Mr. Mendez, have a seat," we've taken the lump out and we've sent it off, and we realized that you have stage 3 cancer. It's very, very aggressive.
What?
Wow.
And once I heard cancer, I just went blank. I just went blank, really blank.
How many weeks in were you at the time?
To be honest, I remember the man speaking, but once I heard cancer,
Froze.
I don't remember anything else.
Mm.
Because for me, at that stage, when you hear cancer, you
Mm.
think, gonna lose your hair, you're gonna be dead in 6 months.
Mm.
So, that was my chain of thought. That was, what was kind of
Mm.
going on at the time. And he was talking. I remember his mouth moving, and I couldn't hear a thing. So eventually, what happened? The last saying was that they're gonna send me to Royal Marsden on the Monday. This was a Thursday, so I need to be at Royal Marsden on the Monday, and
All right.
treatment straight away. So I literally bawled like a baby. I drove myself to the hospital because up until that point I wasn't thinking about anything, any bad news. I wasn't expecting anything because it was just a simple, simple lump. Was I wrong? So I had to call a cab and go home and get my friend to pick up the car. And I went through 6 months of chemotherapy and radiotherapy because it was that aggressive. And they said if I'd waited for another 2 months, it would have been stage 4, one of the most aggressive type. And at the time, it was around about the time there was an actor named John Thaw who used to be on, right, and he died of throat cancer.
Right.
And it just so happens that one of the consultants who was treating John in his latter part explained to me that the cancer started in exactly the same place. My cancer started in exactly the same place and then moved throat.
Okay.
So my cancer is in the lymph node. And so, it was, at that time, all of the information around ENT, ear, nose, and throat, and so on, because I wasn't paying any attention to none of that.
Right.
And at one stage, I remember, the consultant was saying to me, where the cancer was, where the lump was, they had to go deep in it. Unfortunately, if it had gone any further, I probably would not have been able to sing. because it would have affected my throat.
Right.
So it was all of that, just really kind of it as Jamaican would say, it mashed me up.
Mm.
Both mentally, psychologically, it was just a very, very dark, dark, dark time in my life.
Mm.
And I decided that, what, I'm gonna fight this thing. After I've shed all the tears and wallow in self-pity and why me, I
That's
just
right.
decided that, what, I'm going to fight this thing.
Yeah.
So I started, and I did all the treatment. I did all the, everything. Never miss an appointment. None of that. They put me on a strict diet. Did that. And they said to me that I would, sort of have lifelong issues around, this side of my face. So my hair only grows at certain parts. It don't grow on the other part because of all
Mm.
the cells and so
Right.
on and so on. And that whole episode just really made me look at things differently. And
Mm.
my entire life just kind of changed.
Mhm.
So fast forward now, this was, like I said, about 15 years ago. So they
Mm.
had me on a checklist, you know, when they put you in remission. So,
Remission.
after
Yeah.
6 months, after they're going through the treatment, I had to go back
Mm.
weekly, then they move it to monthly, then every 3 months, every 6 months, then yearly. And then they took me off the register with the condition that if I ever had any issue with lumps or anything of that nature, don't even itch, just come straight.
Mm.
Because my aunt died of cancer, my brother died of cancer, my uncle died
Mm.
of cancer, and my uncle in Jamaica died of cancer. Kind of very similar to what I think Lascelles was
So
mentioning.
it's in your family DNA.
It is in my family, you
Mm.
know, and you know when I remember when my uncle passed in Jamaica, we just knew that he died of cancer. But there was no such thing as prostate cancer in Jamaica in terms of people knowing what it was. You just hear
That's right.
cancer. So everybody just kind of bunch all kind of cancer in
Every
one.
cancer together. Yeah.
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 All kind of cancer is just bunched up in one, whether
Mm.
it's prostate, lung, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't until afterwards, I spoke to some family member, and they kind of we were talking, and I kind of realized, I kind of had an idea that it might have been prostate cancer. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so fast forward all of that. 2 years ago, I went to get a checkup. And when I went, at the insistence of a good friend of mine, and he said to me, go and get a checkup, a wellness
Mm.
check. So did all the blood tests and everything. And then when I did the blood test and everything, about a month after, they called me and they said, can you come in? The doctor would like to see you. So I thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. So I went in. The doctor said to me, your PSI was a little high.
Yes, sir. Mm.
So we want to check you for some further tests. Now,
Mm.
I didn't know what PSI was. I didn't have no idea. So remember, the word prostate cancer never came in my vocabulary.
Mm.
Mm.
Not paying it any mind. Okay, fine. Me being disciplined, went, did the tests.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back to me, your PSI is high. So I
Mm.
said to him, what does that mean? And he said, normally, when you do the blood test, your PSI above a certain number gives an indication that there's a possibility of prostate cancer.
Mm.
And I said, What? So he sent me for an MRI scan because at that stage he explained to me that the blood test isn't necessarily as accurate.
Mm.
So they want to get a really, really accurate, kind of reading as to what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So quick time I went. Didn't waste no time, i.e. because of my previous, cancer
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Right.
So I went, did the MRI scan, and then went back to him and he said to me, okay, got the results of the scan. Your prostate is enlarged,
Mm.
but it's not cancerous. So that was the scare that I'm referring to.
Right.
Because, I I having had the experience of radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and that whole, dark period in my life when,
Mm.
things could have happened. Fortunately it didn't, but I'm here.
Mm. Mm.
And I just was in the car and by chance just listening to one of the stations and I heard a DJ interviewing a gentleman about prostate cancer.
Yeah.
And it turned out that this gentleman was Errol McKellar. So I phoned him.
Okay.
I said to him, boy, I just had this situation and, where can I get more information? So he
Mm.
said there was a sit and talk and I should touch. He gave me information. I went and I sat there. And when I sat there, there
Mm.
were about 15, 16 men sitting down, some with their partners, but a lot of them just came on their own. And when I
Mm.
sat down and I heard Errol's story himself,
Mm.
and he, told his story and he was quite frank and open, didn't hold back anything, you know.
Mm.
And that's when it really hit me to think that, my gosh, this could have so easily have been me.
In you.
Yeah.
It could have been so easily been me, having
Mm.
gone through all of that, to this day and for the rest of my life, I'm still going to have issues. You know, I don't have feelings on my left side of my neck, but, you know,
Mm.
unless I tell you, you won't know. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I'm
Right.
having to live with all of these things. And, here don't grow certain place, just all of that.
Mm.
But,
Yeah.
you know, and I said to him, look, I want to help to see how I can help to spread the word for men to get their prostate checked.
Mm.
Because, like I said, there are people like me who used to be, don't pay this thing no mind and all the rest of it. And it
Mm.
wasn't
Mm.
until I got involved in the charity and, just sort of, trying to spread the word and, learn a bit more about the actual disease myself, I begin to realize that 1 in 4 black men will be affected by prostate cancer. And it is absolutely jaw dropping. I couldn't believe it. One
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
four, so, that, and the most, the most horrible reality about it is because of ignorance, because of I suppose stereotype, because of we used in Jamaica used to call village lawyer.
Mm.
What that term is, people know everything.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everything. Everybody have a
Right.
remedy for everything. When
Yeah.
in fact, sometimes, as we say in Jamaica, nothing no go so. I say
Mm-hmm.
that say um when people are ignorant and they don't know the facts and
Mm.
they listen to other people who don't know the facts either, they can be misled and that
Mm-hmm.
can
Yes.
cost them their life.
Definitely.
So,
Yes.
you know,
100%.
I
100%.
am here in my own way, using my voice literally and figuratively, to spread the word to men,
Mm-hmm.
particularly black men.
Yeah.
Get your prostate checked
Mm.
because the most important thing for you to know is prostate cancer is one of the very, very few cancers. If they catch it early, there's a 95% chance that it can be cured.
Yeah.
But when you go past a certain threshold,
Yeah.
you know, that is when it is too late.
Yeah.
But because of, like I said, ignorance, and then this whole thing about stereotype, I remember when I mentioned the whole thing about prostate cancer, I have a friend, and I said to him, "Boy, the first thing man I said, boy, I'm no one man I push up, he's referring to the anal
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Examination.
Examination. Yeah,
examination."
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember me turn to him and me say, "Brethren, hear me now. Me rather do that for a few moments of embarrassment
Mm-hmm.
than for not do it and end up dead."
Yeah.
Right? And yes, I did have the physical examination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had to psych up myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I did it
Yeah.
because that then led me to taking further steps. What
Mm.
if I was one of those kind of men now who just said, "Why, may I stick to my guns and no one, no man touch this or and rate it." I could be another statistic.
Exactly.
I could be another statistic. But what's even worse now is that they don't really need to do the anal examination anymore. You don't need to do that. It's just a blood test or MRI.
PSA test. That's right. Or MRI. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so the physical examination thing. It's so this has been my journey,
Mm.
and this is what I am aiming to do. In trying to get men to sit down and talk openly about these things. And I'm not just doing it because I am not actually suffering from the disease myself, but having previously suffered cancer,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know what it is like to have a near death experience. And as far as me concerned, my cancer
Mm-hmm.
was a near death experience
Yeah.
because it changes your
Yes, it
life and it
was.
changes your perspective
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah.
And you take things now more seriously, and you don't take things for granted.
This is it.
So I'm just glad to be able to be in a position where I can use my platform in in whatever talent, voice, whatever else, to kind of spread the word.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
full
Go
full
ahead.
full 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 story, and I fully endorse what you're saying. As you mentioned ignorance again. You know,
Mm.
I always say ignorance is the wisdom to a fool.
Mm-hmm.
That's their wisdom, is
Yeah.
being ignorant. So the journey going forward for us trying to save lives is to penetrate that barrier
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's causing the ignorance. And it's coming from way back when
Mm-hmm.
in our culture, Jamaican, so to speak.
Yeah.
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 And our responsibility is to find a way
Yeah.
and to penetrate that ignorance so that they can have the understanding that we have. And the only reason why we have this understanding is that we have the experience. We have experienced the issue of prostate.
Mm-hmm.
So we are eligible, so to speak, to be the the carrier, the bearer of good news to
Yeah.
help them to save their lives.
Mm.
And it can be done, but we're gonna need consistency in this. What we're doing here, we're gonna need consistency.
Mm.
A platform that is will never waver when it comes to prostate
Mm.
cancer
Mm.
concerns or issues, and maybe outside of this something else can be developed, where we all can get together again and convey this message, not just
Mm-hmm.
not just among our people that listens to us, but on a wider scale, because it's important. And
Yeah.
ignorance of it, I think, as you say, Michael, is we have to penetrate that. We have to
Mm.
break
Yes.
that ignorance.
Mm.
You know,
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah,
Education is the key.
yes,
Education is the key.
yes,
And it's it is something that we have to keep going and echoing what you say. It's something that we have to continue.
Yeah.
Right.
So whichever avenue by any means, just another point I wanted to kind of raise. Yes, I'm over 50. I'm not
Mhm.
making any assumptions about last age or you know.
Well,
But
I'm
you still
I'm
look good, look on them.
let
You
me
still
let
look
me
good, look like
let me jump. Let me jump on your back. Let me jump on your back and kind of review me right now. 68.
oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
68.
You see?
look at
69 come
him.
October.
If you didn't tell
Wow.
us,
Uh-huh.
we wouldn't know
Oh,
it.
look at that. Look at that.
Nobody, you
Look
wouldn't
at
even
that.
know. Look at
Yeah.
Look at
him.
that.
Beautiful
You
man.
know,
Yeah, look at him.
I like, yeah, I never would have thought.
Yeah,
Never
man.
would have thought. But I know there is a lot of sort of emphasis and focus above men above, about men above a certain age. One of the things that I've also found out was the youngest person to die of prostate cancer was only 34.
Exactly.
Imagine.
There it
34.
is.
34.
That's right.
Right?
Getting
There it
younger and
is.
younger.
So it's not
It is.
necessarily, again, I was probably one of those who was, feeding into the stereotype, oh, prostate cancer, it only affects men above 60.
That's
Then we
correct.
change it to above 50.
Not
Then
true.
we
Yeah.
Yeah,
change it now to above 40. And now I just
Yeah.
say no.
No.
Prostate cancer can affect men, black men,
that's right.
men
Yeah.
That's right.
any age,
That's right.
because it really is just shocking when you think of a 34-year-old male dying of, and it's not just one either, you know,
Mm-hmm.
dying of prostate cancer. So
Yeah.
this is something, one of the other things that I find really funny about, I'd say just men on a whole. For some reason, a lot of people have been saying to me, I'm brave for coming forward. I'm brave. I mean, Lascelles, you're here. I mean, I feel your story and I hear it resonates with me and so on. But I don't know if it's a man thing and maybe I'm generalizing here, but we don't talk.
Mhm. We
We
don't
don't talk.
at
Let
all.
alone, let alone some things that people or they may consider or might consider to be as personal. You know, I don't know if it's fear of people judging them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's fear of, maybe people ridiculing them or maybe looking at them in a different way or anything like that. But I also do find that that might be an issue for us
Mm-hmm.
to address. You know,
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem in saying, look, here's the situation. This is happening. But, there's so many people feeding into the stereotype is why, you keep your whole, you keep your, whatever happened, you keep it in your room and you don't tell nobody. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
that to me
Exactly.
can be counterproductive because you don't know if you're speaking to somebody, the very person who you're speaking to could be that person who can
Mm-hmm.
tell you something that
Exactly.
triggers action.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
triggers action.
Mhm.
Mm.
So
Exactly.
encourage open conversations, man. It doesn't even have to be about prostate cancer. It could be about something else.
And
I know
Yeah.
predominantly this, we kind of promoting that, but
Mm.
it's a whole culture, and it's just something that as a whole we have to address.
Mm.
I
And
I attributed that to, I think, most of us, and again I'm zeroing in on us being Jamaicans and probably the rest of the Caribbean, but we know about Jamaicans. Our foreparents, grandparents, and their
mm,
parents, there is a mentality of privacy,
yeah.
mentality of personal things are not to be discussed outside of the home. And it has been, I think, passed or handed down from generation to generation. That cycle, I think it's been broken, but we still have a long way to go, Michael, like you said. we have to break that barrier
Yeah.
of being so personal that the things that can save somebody else and even your own life by
Yeah.
discussing it with another person, you find out that, oh, I had it, but and this is what I had to do, and then you find out that you could do the same thing. So in retaining that information as being private or personal, it's
Yeah.
actually destructive.
Hmm.
Um, I'm in a program right now where I'm learning some things in terms of being a life coach. And one of the things that are emphasized in being a life coach, you cannot be a life coach if you're not using your personal life.
As an example.
It doesn't make sense. It's
Mm.
using your life experiences in order to help somebody else. And like you said, Michael, it doesn't have to be about cancer. It doesn't have to be about prostate. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be, something in your life that you've been through,
Mm.
the challenges that you manage to maneuver to be where you are today, whether it's cancer or not, can save somebody else's life or change somebody
Hmm.
else's life.
Yeah.
Now,
Mm.
so again, the challenge that we have and everybody else in our arena, the challenge that we have is to break that barrier, that to
Yeah.
break that ignorance, and
Yeah.
and let it be known that the ultimate goal for us is to
Yeah.
change your life or to save your life. That's
Hmm.
the goal.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
100% agreed with you on
Yeah.
that.
And it's one of the reasons why, since being diagnosed with cancer, that I've started a walk and talk group. That's where you saw the video where Lascelles, and that came from one being transparent about it, only because I saw Big Stone, who was a good friend of mine. He was calling me all sorts of hours of the morning, and because I still suffer, like I say, insomnia, he would call me at certain hours of the morning. I'm hearing this man cry with pain. And then I would see him go on his platform, YouTube platform, and just be transparent about what he's going through with everyone. And I'm saying to myself, exactly what you were talking about earlier, us not talking about our situation. And I'm saying, I've got a platform, I have a responsibility to share that information with other people. And hopefully it will trigger one or two or three people to say, let me go get myself checked out.
Hmm.
you know. It even encouraged you, Lascelles, to come out and talk about it.
Hmm.
And you're as private as I am. I come from that point in time where, yep, we don't talk about nothing, you know, and to our demise, So we have to break the spell.
Yep.
And I think we're already doing that just by being transparent. I've got to thank Michael Mendez for being on the show today to talk about his situation openly. There's nothing to shy away from it. It's what we go for as individuals. To be honest, I'm tired of going to funerals every week.
Hmm.
The
Wow.
amount of people within the last 6 months that have passed away from one cancer or the other is absolutely crazy. And it's one of the reasons why Sharon and I brainstormed, the food we're eating is killing us. We need to do a show which deals with food that is killing us.
Yep.
Rice, bread,
Yep.
um, they're saying oats is laced with in pesticides. Porridge, which I've been eating for years, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm learning some stuff
Hmm.
right now that I shouldn't be eating. So now I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what to eat in the morning. One of the things I've worked out is sea moss, purple sea moss. And I want to thank Nubiana, who's a singer out of South London. She's always sending me sea moss. So sea moss is something that I eat. Um, Soursop is another one because apparently soursop cancer hates soursop.
Hmm.
There's something in it was concentrated which helps to fight, that cancer. I'm hearing stuff like dandelion also. It
Yeah.
helps to fight. Now with all these things that I'm learning, I'm now learning how to eat better in the morning.
Yeah. And Ty, here's another thing.
Hmm.
The powers that be, the powers that be,
Yeah,
um, their plan is for them to grow, and their
yeah,
growth is based on our demise. You understand? So the food that is being prepared for us to consume, the food is tainted in order to make it taste good, to make us feel like we're eating something that is good for our bodies.
hmm,
These are all concentrated effort by those at the top,
yeah,
and we we're the smaller guys down in the scale of things. And if we continue doing that without thinking about ourselves, this is what's going to happen on a
yeah,
regular basis. And you'll always have us trying to help somebody. But if you
hmm,
look at a concentrated effort, if we start focusing on the food in the can, understand this, the food in the can cannot be good for you if there weren't something in there that's preserving it so that you can.
Preserving it.
And what is being used to preserve the food in the can? Look at the back. Look at the back of the can when you buy the food and see the content of what's in there,
hmm,
as opposed to the way we were raised growing up.
yeah,
My mommy's gonna cook some food, and there's a garden over there so, with susumba and kalalo and everything in the garden,
hmm,
cabbage, everything in the garden, and we go pick and we prepare and we eat. It
yeah,
was a healthier lifestyle
yeah,
then, but because we're exposed here
yeah,
in the industrialized world, so to speak, we might feel that we're better off not being back home,
hmm,
but I think it's the reverse.
yeah,
So the things, because of needs, because of economics, we're
hmm,
and at the same time we're hurting ourselves. So I think there's a stop where when we are hit with this realization, no, we need to
hmm,
stop and think and see what we can do again. I'm being redundant here a little bit, but we can make some changes
yeah,
because we have been there, and
yeah,
we can share all of this information and
hmm,
try to get folks to not eat to live, not live to eat, but eat to live.
eat to live, yeah, yeah,
Eat to live, because
right,
the things that's going inside of us is causing
yeah,
us disease. I guarantee you, the food we're
yeah,
consuming in these countries are hurting us. And again, the powers that be, because they're
hmm,
benefiting from us, they
yeah,
don't really care. You know,
yeah,
you talk about Tenstar, you talk about the amount of medication that you're taking,
hmm,
right? The amount of medication that you're taking is supposed to be helping you, but sometimes you sit down and you watch a television and you think of the side effect
hmm,
Yeah.
medication that is prescribed to us. We're curing or healing this part of our body, but
yeah,
it's affecting several other parts
Another
of our
part.
body. You
hmm,
understand? I mean, I've
100%.
seen some
100%.
commercial where suicidal tendencies or
hmm,
Yes.
fatality
Yes.
may happen by
Yes.
yeah,
consuming
Yes.
this to fix
yeah,
it.
Hmm.
So again, it's we have to come to some agreement as a people to
hmm,
find a channel and maintain that channel so that we can weed ourselves off medication and go into like the things that you talk about again, the
hmm,
natural stuff, the sour stuff, the dandelion, the turmeric, the ginger. These are things that naturally God gave us for us to utilize.
yeah, yeah,
We stray from it. We
yeah,
stray. So
I
my
want to
little
say
piece.
that I want to say And that was a very good 2 cents because it's been sincere talk, Mr. Douglas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But listen, I want to say this: if we are investing in ourselves, like even for me, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the things that I went through, and I'm praise be to God, I'm still here. So I always like to share. I do my best to expand my knowledge of what we are consuming, right?
Mm.
And so I was telling Ten Star, I told him this a while ago. If you don't know, I would encourage people, know what your blood type is, number one. Okay? Know what your blood type is, number one. Number two, there is literature, there are books that helps you to eat for your blood type.
Mm.
Oh.
Because I was, you get so surprised. And I was looking at mine, I was like, oh, I do eat that. Oh, it did make me feel this way. Eating for Your Blood Type is an amazing book.
Mm.
There are a few different ones, but it's something that you'll be pleasantly surprised about. Like if you go and you know your blood type, and then you go and read, oh, yeah, I thought that was healthy. Some things that you think is healthy for you, when you eat, when you read that book, you'll be like, oh no, I gotta stay away from that. I gotta stay away from that. You'd be very surprised. So if we're gonna be encouraging people, let's encourage people also invest in themselves, invest in this knowledge, invest in these things, know what you're eating for your blood type. So I
Mhm.
encourage all, if you don't have it, go and find it. You will find it on Amazon, Eating for Your Blood Type. And if you know, and just study into that. That all helps so much clarity.
Right.
Because again, some of these things that say is healthy for you is the deterrent, or is a catalyst for an additional problem in your body.
Mm.
It's the craziest thing. I've been hearing so much recent. What is really healthy is not healthy for you. You're not really supposed to be eating that, or you don't supposed to. It's amazing. And it's just like in Jamaica. Yes, they have the cassava, they got the yam, they got the this, they got the that. A lot of those things they cannot even eat now because depending on, I think it's more depending on how they prepare it. Because how could this provision from the ground be bad for you all of a sudden? Apparently, it's bad for the black man now. But it's how you're preparing the food, the salt they put in there, the
Mm.
seasoning. It's so much to learn. And one
Yeah.
should definitely, I encourage everyone, learn. It's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you're gonna get from all of this, because a lot of the times it's how you prepare your food, or you're not eating the right stuff for your blood type. It's very interesting. And that is
Very.
my 2 cents. If you really want people to understand, get the book. It's very interesting. Know who you are.
Yeah.
If you can't encourage people if you don't know who you are. Just like Lascelles said, to
Mm.
be a, you have to, I feel you have to have gone through certain things and come out on the other end to encourage somebody else and hear what they're going through. It's the same thing with eating and
Yeah.
learning about you. Invest in you.
Mhm.
The whole thing is invest in you. And so the message for our men, that we still, it's still a mission. It's still a
Mm.
mission. There's so many. Your church member, Michael Mendez. Oh, what if them old man inside there? You think they talking, they don't want to talk. I secret them, have secret them. I want nobody to know, say them can go bathroom. Them have fear. No, just to let you know. Talk about it. You in church, spread the
Mm.
word. It's
True.
real talk.
It's true. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%.
Mm.
100%.
So I mean, if you say, I understand that you are a church goer and you're a praying man, we're all very spiritual people. But if you have, that is one of your platforms. Tell Pastor, there's something I need to talk about. Talk
Mm-hmm.
up the things.
Yeah.
That's how you get to. That's how you kind of get to people. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage that because I honestly, Michael, I commend you. It is an honor to even have met you, to know what you've gone through. Real quick, what you did go through, I know of a couple of people that went through that, and some of them did not survive because they did not follow up with a little lump on the side of their neck. A lot of black men, so I could teach so much. A lot of black men get the ingrown hairs. Believe it when I tell you, those ingrown hairs are not taken care of. At a certain point in your neck, that's another catalyst for something else. So it's a lot. So what you're saying is deep, and thank you so much for your transparency. Because you really have to. We really appreciate it. I want to thank Coral Consciously for putting us on and letting us know that, it'd be good to have you on the show, and it has been a blessing. So I do thank you for that. And while we can talk for days, I know we're going to have to round up this show because there's so much information.
So much.
So much.
Just want to thank you for having me. And also,
yes,
thank Consciously, for making the connection and putting this all together and so on. She's just amazing. She's amazing. She's just been getting information out there, and just making the connections, so I'm able to, share my story and to connect with people in the right way. So pick up yourself consciously. I know you're watching. But also Lascelles and yourself as moderators, and I'm so honored. I really feel honored, that I've been invited to come onto this platform to, share the story and both for yourself and for your listeners and so on, to know what I'm about. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
So for me is again, I thank you guys for inviting me. 10 Star, I lift my hat to you, sir, for your transparency, because your transparency has caused mine. So the effect is actually happening already, because you've made this possible. Michael, thank you for coming on and sharing as well. I really do appreciate your candidness on what you've been going through and your experience and how the mind works, because that's where I'm at. It's the mind for me. It's all about here, and everything else follows. Sharon, thank you for keeping me abreast and for keeping in touch. One thing I want to kind of emphasize before kind of just bring this all together is to my brothers. Please, that ego, that manly, that masculine feeling that we all have, that sometimes prevents us from looking into ourselves and make changes to ourselves where health is concerned. I'm not preaching to you. I'm just asking you simply, try and see if you can change that mindset. Right? Change that mindset. From the stories that you've heard here, and see for yourself if it will help you from the results you get from just doing your regular checkup. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, because you will save your life and you will save the life of others. And remember, our lives is not just our lives. We're attached to other people. So when we fail to do certain things to help ourselves, we're also failing those people that we're attached to.
So,
absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Thank you so much. I want to say a big thank you to my nephew who's logged in, Mighty Matrix. He's going through a medical situation at the moment where he's, battling with MS. I'm going to try and get him on as well so that he can talk about his story. So everybody's going through something, and it's about sharing that information, getting the information out there, and really looking after your mental well-being, because now there's a connection between trauma, depression, and your nervous system. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it can trigger one thing or the other. And I've always known that. There's something innately, I don't know what it is, that tells me the more stressed and depressed you get, it's triggering off one thing or the other. You have to look after your mental well being, and you have to look after what you consume. One thing I did was I had to look at myself. I'm thinking, what does a human body do for me? You know what I mean? Because when you cut yourself, you're supposed to heal, no matter what disease you have. Right? We're supposed to be able to eat off the land, and it's supposed to cure us. So we have to get to that way of thinking, and that's where I'm at. So we're going to be talking on this show about nutrition. What should we be eating, and what should we be discarding? We have to look into that also. Thank you for it to everyone who has logged in and tuned into the show. Thank you for doing that. Also, please help us to subscribe to our channel, um, SPRB Radio Podcast, and share these links with somebody who you think may need to hear this message. You know, get
That's
rid
right.
of the boy, I'm gonna make the man finger up with things and don't die out of ignorance. The last word of Vincent Smith, bar singer out of West London. He was suffering from stage 4 cancer, and he ran out of options. The last word he said to us was, "Don't die out of ignorance like me." Because if I can change or switch back the hands of time, I would pray for the Lord to give me some more time to figure it out, or to even have a change of mind, a change of heart, a change of the way because ego got the better of him.
Mm.
Ego is what took him out.
Mm.
That's why he's no longer here. So we're now feeding you with that information. We want you to survive, you know. Thank you, Lascelles, once again. God bless you, my brother. And
Yes.
I'd love for you to be a regular feature on this show.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
know you're busy,
Please.
Michael Mendez. Anytime you can make the show, pass by. Your family know. Let's
Problem, no
do
Yeah.
problem.
this. Let's do this. And thank you to Coral. Thank you to everyone who
Much blessings.
participated on
Much
the show.
blessings. Much
We're going to
blessings.
get out of here. We're going to be here next week with another prominent, uh, voice in the reggae music industry. He goes by the name of Leon of the Blackstones. He's been liaising with me
Hmm.
throughout his ordeal. He kept me strong, shared information with me. He's going to be sharing his own story. And we're also going to have Basic Clark next week also. We're going to
Yeah.
have Amanda Christos and quite a few people on the show next week who's going to be sharing their stories. So let's do this. We're going to be back here next week. We're going to get out of here, but I'm going to do this. Salute.
Blessings.